Hey, Colorado Springs, it's Jenny Bayless, and I'm here to do a deal analysis with you all today. So, this deal analysis is really interesting. I'm pretty excited to go over this because this investor is utilizing a couple of different strategies and combining them um, to a point where it's going to be a pretty good investment for him. So, I'm really excited to kind of dive into it and give everyone some ideas about how to explore further. So, the buyer, he has a rental property in Colorado Springs that he's using just as a traditional long term rental. And he also has a couple of rental properties in Denver as well, which I believe he might have done the Nomad strategy on one of them. And I think one was just a straight rental as well. So he kind of fluctuates on his strategies that he utilizes, but he's doing really really well. So this is kind of exciting to dive into it. So yeah, so just kind of giving some background regarding the buyer's ideas was that he has a very flexible job, and after he and I had explored some long-term rental properties earlier last year, he really liked Colorado Springs, just the feel of it. He liked how affordable the homes were. He liked the nature. So he wanted to have his next primary residence be in Colorado Springs. So the original plan was that he was going to move into the home and have roommates. And he changed his plan to where he's going to just live in the home as his primary residence for that full year requirement. Just kind of take time to be able to enjoy a really, really nice home for him and his girlfriend and their dog, just to kind of, enjoy that home for themselves, let the dog run around outside, something that he's not able to do in Denver, where he was living before. So just really, be able to kind of integrate themselves into Colorado Springs community for that year. And then the plan would be to move out, so to do a nomad, and repeat the process. So he would buy a new primary residence after he's done his occupancy requirements. And by turning this property into a room by room rental. So it's kind of exciting to see him being able to utilize a really low down payment option because it is his primary residence for this year. And then once he moves out and rents everything by room method, he's cash flowing really decently. So it's kind of exciting to combine the two methods together. So just kind of give you an example of the home itself. It's a ranch with a basement. There's 3 beds and 1 bath upstairs, 2 beds and 1 bath in the basement. It's laid out very, very well, very conducive to a room by room situation. So he could definitely put a little kitchenette in the rec room in the basement area, just to kind of spread the tenants out, give them a little bit more space. But it's a really cool property, really nice yard, central to town. So he did really well in picking this one out. I was excited for him. So the property was listed at 380, and we have lost out on a couple of offers. It was still very, very competitive. This was I think November, December of 2021. So still super competitive, even though we were approaching the holidays, which I thought was interesting. So he offered 420,000, and we were actually competing against an iBuyer. One of these corporations that are purchasing properties and then renting them out. So the sellers like the fact that the buyer was an actual person. So they said, hey, if you guys can come back with a little bit stronger of an appraisal gap. Originally, he offered $10,000 appraisal gap. He was able to do a $12,500 appraisal gap, that they would go with his offer, because they like the idea of a person moving into their home as opposed to just a company purchasing their home. The sellers took really, really good care of the property. You could tell that there was, a lot of sentimental value to this home. So they wanted to see it go to a person. So we were able to lock it up. The buyer's offer was really, really strong, way above list. The appraisal gap was quite strong, and he did a limited inspection objection as well. So just to kind of give everyone some background on that. So he ended up purchasing the home for 417,500. The home ended up appraising at 405. So then he brought the 12.5, and the sellers agreed to drop the price 2.5 thousand to arrive at that 417.5 in order to carry on with the sale. And his acquisition costs were about 4,500, and inspection went really, really well. Like I said, it was a beautifully maintained home. Just a couple handyman items. I'm estimating no more than 1,500 altogether for all the little items to add up. So all in all, he's in about $40,000 for his primary residence investment. So he got a 3.375% interest rate, which is fantastic. I know that primary rates have risen quite a bit over the last couple months, so he was able to slide in there with a really good rate. So that's pretty exciting. So I ran this analysis as after he moves out, because he's not planning on using the property as a rental property while he's living there for that year. He's planning on just enjoying it as his primary home. And then once he moves out, that's when it turns into an investment property. So we're going to just pretend, fast forward a year from now, and he's moved out and decided to rent each room individually. So going into that, typically about 650 is what we're budgeting for each room in terms of rent. There is a master bedroom in the basement. He might be able to get a little bit more out of that one. But just to be safe, we'll assume 650. There's 5 beds in the home. So that comes to about $3,250 a month in total rent. And he would manage it himself. So since he wants to do the Nomad strategy, his next home would likely be in the Springs as well, just because it's facilitating his investment goals. So he would be able to have eyes on. He would be able to self-manage it. That's the plan as of right now. So a little bit more work, but I think it's going to be worth it for him in the long run. So no management. We'll assume an 8% monthly reserves for maintenance, no HOA, and his annual real estate taxes are $1,270 a year. Annual property insurance is $1,240 a year. And I just kind of grouped in all of the shared living expenses that he would have to endure, about $5,000 a year in all of his yearly utilities, because he would be covering them all, with it being a shared room by room type situation, internet, all that good stuff, trash for all of his tenants to share. So about $5,000 a year. And that's based on actually looking at several of our other clients that have utilized the room by room strategy, kind of taking what their costs have been, because it's a similar type of property, and just applying it as an estimate for when he moves out. So I think that covers pretty much all of our estimated expenses for when he turns this into a rental property. So we'll go over to cash flow. All right, so he's all in for $40,000 on a $417,000 purchase. And utilizing that room by room method, once he moves out, he's looking at a net operating income of $27,000. And once he subtracts out his mortgage payments and his PMI, he's looking at a little over $5,000 a year, which is a 12.7% cash on cash rate of return and a 6.5 cap. So I think that this is just phenomenal to see a 12.7% cash on cash rate of return when he only put down $40,000, which is about 10%. So, a lot of times you have to supplement in this market a little bit to cash flow, even a tiny bit. So if he's cash flowing $5,000 a year and he put down 10%, that's phenomenal. I think that that is a really, really good return and the best way to preserve his capital going forward. So next year, if he saves up another $40,000, $50,000, he can go ahead and do this again. With all else being equal, having another 6+ cap rate property in his portfolio. It's just a solid property in a really convenient location to everything. Is in really, really good shape. I know he's going to get a lot of personal benefit just enjoying living in there for a year, having a large yard for the dog, all that good stuff. And then being able to turn this into a rental property with only 10% down and making $5,000 a year in cash flow. So that's really exciting. If we go down to our return on investment quadrant, looking at simply just the return on the 4 components that we look at: appreciation, cash flow, debt pay down, and depreciation. We're looking at a 91.3% return on his $40,000. It says first year. Technically, I guess it'd be second year since he's going to live in it for his first year and not make it an investment. But I would take a 91% return any day of the week. So I think that is pretty exciting. So just to kind of sum everything up, what I really like about this investor strategy is that he's able to utilize the benefits that an owner occupied property will yield him. So he's able to put less down, he's able to get a better interest rate, and he's able to get some intrinsic benefit, enjoying a really nice home for a year. And then he's going to just kind of go all out once he moves out, assuming that he does this again, and turn this into the most optimized rental type of strategy, which is the room by room method. So yes, it's going to be a lot more work, but being able to cash flow on a property with only 10% down is pretty impressive, in my opinion. So I'm really happy for his strategy, and I'm excited to help him work on buying his next Nomad property and doing this again, because I think he'll be able to accumulate a pretty impressive portfolio combining the 2 methods together. So yeah, just wanted to share this with everyone. If you found this interesting, go ahead and just send us an email, Jenny, JENNY, @envisionrea.com, and we'll help you be able to utilize the same strategy. Thanks, everyone.